Johnny Ingram?
Yeah.
So good, man.
Yeah. Is that something you and Alan, have talked about or talked about? Is that a goal he has now?
No, we don't. I mean, I just learned that from you. No, we don't talk about records. No, we just talk about doing the best we can to make sure we're ready to go for Minnesota.
Hey, Bill, with Anthony Zettel, the last couple of years, if you look at his numbers, he has, he's got a lot of tackles for loss and sacks.
Yeah.
I think it's something like 30% or more of his tackles are for loss. Well, what is it about him that allows him to get, I guess, into the backfield so well and make those kind of plays?
That's a great question, because I was actually noticing that on Sunday. He's a guy in the almost 2 years that I've been here, he makes a lot of plays, and so, why is that? I think number one is he plays extremely hard. He plays every play like it's his last play. That's number one. I think the other thing he's a very strong player. He's got great playing strength, and so he's able to play off blocks and explode off of a block and make a tackle for a loss. Or if you noticed against Illinois, he let Shieldhouse out of the pocket, but he grabbed him by the jersey and sacked him. So he's got strong hands, and he's able to hang on and make those tackles or sacks. And so I give him a lot of credit. And he's come up with some really big plays for us, and I think it has a lot to do with how hard he plays and how strong he is.
Bill, going back to the Illinois game, was there any part of you that was expecting a intentional safety when they were back up in their end zone and they pointed it to you guys? I mean, it would have been a little bit better field position for them. Was there any part of you that was thinking about that?
Yeah, we did. We talked about that. That's something that they could do. And then we talked about it more on Sunday. If that was something that happened, if we were in that situation offensively, what would we do? And that would be something that we would think about doing too. But again, they felt like that's nothing against Illinois. I'm sure they felt like they had good plays there, just like we all do. And sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And so they decided to do it that way. And our defense stepped up and played good football. And I thought that was a great example of complementary football. Our defense held them. Then we tried to block the punt, so we forced kind of a rugby-type punt. And I thought Vaughn could have caught the punt. We lost about 10 yards there on the roll of the punt. So we got it at the 50 instead of the 40. But still, we went down there and, with a couple better play calls, maybe we could have scored a touchdown, but we ended up kicking a field goal and take us into overtime.
With Minnesota's offense, with their running game, looks like they like to get people to come up and commit to the running game, and then they kind of take their shots.
Yep.
How careful do you have to be, or a coaching staff have to be, to not overcommit to the run and then get burned?
You have to. You can't. Careful's the wrong word. It's a great question. Is if you go into the meeting room and you say, "Hey guys, you got to be careful now," that's the wrong way to go. I think what you have to do is you have to get your linebackers to think simply. Okay, what are their tips when they play action? What are their tips when they run? Maybe it's a stance of the lineman. Maybe it's a backfield set. Maybe it's some little thing like a near set back versus a pro, an I formation back. Whatever it might be, that's a tip that you use. Hey, they're going to run it here, or this is a play action tip. Or when you're talking to your DBs, you have to tell them to be aggressively smart. So meaning they have to stay on top of routes. They can't be too quick to react to what they see. They can't have their eyes in the backfield. So I think you have to you can't take away the aggression of your team. And, so you have to do a great job of studying film and showing the guys the difference between when they run it and when they play action.
Bill, I was hanging out with over here. I was hanging out with Phil Savage last night. And he was telling me he made it a point to make it out here to see Daquan Jones and John Urschel in person. As a coaching staff, how does that make you feel to get that kind of recognition from the Senior Bowl?
Well, Phil's very good at what he does, and I've known Phil for a while. It's a great track record. Phil worked. It's like 6 degrees of separation. Phil worked for Mac McWhorter when Mac was the offensive line coach at Alabama. Phil was a GA there with Ted Roof. They were GAs together at Alabama. When Bill Curry was the head coach there, and then Phil also worked for Bill Belichick in Cleveland. That show, The Football Life, about the '94 Cleveland Browns. Phil Savage is in that. He was in the front office in that staff. So pretty interesting deal. But yeah, I think it's great. Anytime our guys, and I think we have, I'll be honest with you, I think we have a few other guys that should be considered for the Senior Bowl too, but those two guys are excellent players, great representatives of Penn State. You think that's what makes me most proud, is you have two guys there. Obviously John Urschel, well documented, great student and fantastic football player. Daquan Jones, in his own right, has made a huge mark off the field with his work ethic and how hard he's worked in the classroom to get to where he is today. And then obviously, he's a heck of a football player. So I think that says a lot about Penn State and the type of kids we have here at Penn State.
Bill, over here. You've talked a lot about Bill Belton. You've always talked highly about him, both as a football player and in terms of character. Can you talk about what it means to you, just to see him playing as well as he's been playing these last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it means a lot to me when any of these guys play well. I feel really good for them. I think it's a player's game. It's not it's not about the coaches. I think it's all about the players. The players put it on the line every week, and to watch a guy like Billy who has, like I said, has really improved in the classroom. He wasn't doing very well in the classroom when I got here, and he's doing better there. And still, it's a work in progress for him academically, but he works hard at it. And then obviously he's playing well on the field. So it always makes you feel good when good kids do well.
Bill, you brought it up on the radio show, I think it was last week, where you said...
Yeah, that radio show. You guys tweet every line from the radio show. I mean, why do they do that, Jeff? Go ahead.
It's a hard-hitting radio show, but anyway...
There's got to be better things to do on a Thursday night.
Oh, there are.
Tweet my lines from the radio show, right?
But anyway, you were saying on the show about balancing kind of how you approach Christian on the sidelines, and I think you said you maybe only boiled over maybe twice.
A couple times, yeah.
You might have been able to add one from Saturday.
Yeah, right.
But how important is that to kind of balance how you approach him as far as, you don't want to get too much into his head, but obviously you do coach him and you do critique him?
Yeah, that's a big part. That's a great question. We have a really close relationship, and obviously I recruited him, and I've been in his living room and know his family, and so it's a difficult situation that he's in, just being a freshman and playing major college football at that position for the first time. And I'll be the first to tell you that many times I definitely, in the beginning of the year, had to be more patient with him. And I think, overall, I do believe I've improved on that with him. And I try to get him over to the bench and sit down with him and just talk to him about the previous series. And I think that that's helped. When he makes a mistake that I know he knows what to do on, or he makes the mistake twice or something, it doesn't happen very often. That's when I lose my patience a little bit with him, and I think he gets that. But, we have a very good, honest, open relationship. In fact, on Saturday, I think the one you might be referring to, he got mad at me because he got hit. He missed a blitz, he missed a hot, and so he got hit in the side of the head. So I was yelling at Breen to make sure he checked him out because I felt like he might have got hit there. So he's screaming back at me, I'm all right, coach, leave me alone, and I'm like, check him out. So I was actually yelling at Breen, not him. So, but no, he's a great kid, fun guy to coach, but definitely, a guy that anytime you coach the quarterback position, you got to be patient with that position, especially when they're young.
Fortunately, he's all right.
I don't know if I am though.
Bill, has your philosophy changed on taking the ball? It seems you've deferred the last couple of weeks. I wonder what's gone into that. And then also a quick one on how you felt Matt McGloin played the other day.
That changes week to week. We talk about that as a staff, Neil. Really, it's a game-to-game decision that we do, and it's based on the weather. It's based on the sun here in Beaver Stadium, where the sun is. I know it sounds crazy, but based on things we want to do in special teams in the beginning of the game and a throwing game. It's based on the other team and their offense. Like for instance, if you're playing Navy, a ball possession team, or maybe Minnesota, maybe you take the ball first because you may not get many possessions, things like that. So there's a lot of factors, and it's really game by game. I couldn't be more proud of Matt McGloin, self-made guy, competitive guy. He deserves everything he's getting, and maybe he'll get his shot to start. But he let him down the field. I think they had a couple long drives. I know one was a touchdown drive, and nothing that he does surprises me, and shouldn't surprise anybody. He's a guy that's worked very hard to get where he's at.